The bees are dying, and our survival hangs in the balance. In the past year, over 70% of U.S. bee colonies, more than 1.1 million hives, were lost, marking the worst collapse on record. At 4RBs, we're fighting back with our breakthrough PureWave cell, a quantum frequency device crafted with 48,000 Gauss rare earth magnets in the shape of the flower of life. When placed inside a beehive, it delivers remarkable results. Colonies grow 2 to 3 times larger, honey production soars, pesticide and antibiotic use drops to zero, colony collapse nearly vanishes, and queen replacements plummet. Every purchase also supports our Beekeeper program, providing free PureWave cells to small beekeepers worldwide. Rebuilding life one hive at a time. Join the fight today and buy a jar of PureWave honey, or even one of the cells used by the beekeepers. Use code WITF for 20% off at 4rbs.com. And if you're listening on audio only, that's the number 4, letter R, bees.com.
Where in the Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone actually.
Welcome to another episode of Where in the Folk. Hope everybody's had a great day today. And today we are joined by Spencer Jamison. And of course, you got Tolly, Morgana, and Steven with us today. And my name is Cecil. So I'll go ahead and let you all get started. Spencer, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hey, everybody, to everybody that's watching. I see that Squirrel, one of my hosts for the show, is in the chat. Hey, darling. I have Woodwalkers. It's a YouTube channel. It's mostly about cryptids, Bigfoot, all that kind of stuff. We started out as kind of like Bigfoot, barbecue, and bushcraft, but the whole subject went to Bigfoot right off the get-go, so we just go with the flow. But I live in southwestern Virginia. I'm a carpenter by trade. I remodel people's homes for a living. And what can I say? I've been doing the Bigfoot thing for, I guess, about 9 years now, maybe a little over. I'm not exactly sure. I've done competition barbecue. I used to make custom knives for a living for a while. And mostly I'm just a proud dad of my 2 daughters, married, and my wife's going to be home any minute, and I got brisket sandwiches that I just devoured, and they're all eating that right now. And I asked them to keep it down, but if you hear some noise in the background, that's my tribe out there. Yeah. I love dogs, love animals. I'm a Scorpio. I don't know where to go after that.
I'm going to see if Libra and Scorpio go good together or not.
So we will apologize up front for the background dog noises.
Oh,
yeah. All of us have animals. We're all animal lovers.
Yeah.
My dog is right here the whole time. One of them anyway. The other one goes back and forth. And you're in good company because Tolly and Steven are barbecuers as well. Tolly barbecued so much. One 2-year period, he was trying to perfect his chicken wings, and every time we went up there, we had to eat chicken wings. And now my wife will not eat chicken wings because of it.
That's how my kids are now. After 3 months of me going, what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? Now they're totally turned off by wings.
Really?
Yeah. I got stupid with it for a while. I even got to the point. This is going to sound ignorant. I was injecting the wings.
Yeah.
I was brining them. I was injecting them.
He turned into Matt Sanders. He'd wear a white coat with goggles.
They were good, but not the juice wasn't worth the squeeze on that one.
You're going way too far. That's like injecting a brisket. If you do a brisket right, you don't need an injection. At least in my opinion, you're going way too far.
I will.
I've never injected brisket, but I have injected pork butt.
No, I've injected all of it. I've never really seen the benefit. Again, me personally, on the barbecue end of things, I think a lot along the lines of like Tuffy Stone. Smoke is the seasoning, and I think you just be real careful with the cook, and everything else you put on it is just an accompaniment. It's like ketchup and mustard on a hamburger. You can still have a really good cheeseburger. Imagine a bacon cheeseburger. If you just have bacon and high quality cheese and a really good cooked burger, you can eat that on a bun by itself and it's still freaking great. Everything else you put on it, you're creating layers of flavor, but kind of going back to that Texas model, which I'm not from Texas, but I think it's kind of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And don't overdo it and don't overthink of it. But on the barbecue thing, one thing I will say, just my opinion, you have to treat smoke as a seasoning.
Yes.
It's kind of like salt. You can over smoke something, ruin it. And then it doesn't matter what you put on it, it's gonna suck.
It's you go too far with smoke, then you've gone too far. Yeah, I've never injected that. It's one thing I will fess up that I've started injecting. That was turkey breast whenever I smoked them.
Hey, turkey breast. Turkey breast, really very little fat. That's kind of like trying to smoke deer, which I've tried before and never really successfully done it.
It's just so lean. Such a lean.
Yeah. There's not enough fat to distribute any kind of residual.
What's up, Landa?
Fat in there. But like a sandwich, you have to ask yourself, would you want to put mayo on it? Because mayo is a layer of fat, right?
Yep.
And it prevents the sandwich from being dry. So if you have a really dry main meat, do you need to add more fat to it? Some people with brisket, they're putting tallow on it whenever they wrap it. Now, I've tried it. I did not see any benefit in it. In fact, it made it a little bit greasier than what I'm used to. But again, I'm more of a traditionalist with smoking, which is probably why I've never won any major awards or anything also at the same time. But
the tallow, and I don't know if you would agree with this, to me, it's like when you add the beef tallow, it's almost like a non-native taste to the brisket.
Yeah.
Like the brisket has a completely different kind of fat than that tallow you're putting on it.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
So yeah, I'm totally with you there.
To me with the brisket, if I want to serve the brisket on a Sunday, I usually try to cook it on Friday night, let it finish on a Saturday, and then I'm going to put it in a warmer and hold it for about 12 to 16 hours.
Now see, I do the Myron mixing method. I cook closer to 260, 275. And typically, if you're talking about 13, 14, 15 pounds, I will go for about 8 or 9 hours till it reaches an internal of about 165, 170. The meat is not absorbing smoke beyond 163, 165. You're just building up like a creosote level on the meat. And that's no good for anybody. So after that, I typically do the Texas crutch. I wrap it sometimes in aluminum. I've done butcher paper. Normally I do aluminum foil, and then I will finish it either in the oven or on the smoker, sometimes in the oven, just not to waste fuel on the smoker because it's not absorbing any more smoke. Yeah. So a lot of times I'll finish it in the oven. Now at competitions, you have to do it in the grill or in the smoker, but I will take mine up to about 205 at the point, or right there where the point in the flat meat. I'll take mine up to about 205, and then I will rest until it reaches about 150 degrees or so. And right then, all of the videos that you see of people cutting that cross section open where it's just dripping juice, if you will hit it right at 150 degrees coming down on the rest, you'll get that almost every time. And another trick is I use pink sea salt because it makes a way more pronounced smoke ring on it. And I get smoke rings that are like almost cherry red on the outside of it. But having said that, though, the brisket at that point, there are other ways to cook it, but the brisket at that point, it's really only good fresh. It's not that great whenever you reheat it the next day. And a brisket is a huge cut of meat. So like me and my family, whenever I cook one here, I only take it up to about 202, 203, and I pull it out of the rest at about 165. And that way it's still got some residual moisture whenever you heat it up again. If that's not too complicated of a explanation for brisket cooking.
Yeah.
Brisket is what made me decide that I couldn't do it. I made a brisket for myself, my wife, Tully, and his wife, and it was so disgusting that I just packed my smoker down to the garage and Shane, and it's been in there.
brother, I've been there. The first 10, 12 briskets I ever cooked, I ruined them. And you talk about heartbroken. That was like $700-800 worth of barbecue. It sucked. It'll crush your soul whenever you do something that bad.
Yeah, you're always going to make a few bad ones before you start that direction with it. So
the first smoker we bought, Mo, which was 100 years ago, he decided that his first smoking experience was going to be with fish. And you talk about disgusting.
Oh.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah,
and he never tried that again. No. Smoked fish is not a delicacy that I'm ever going to be happy with.
No, I can make you a smoked salmon that you would love, or a smoked trout that you would love, but you got to cook that way low and way different. Fish will absorb smoke quick. Fish and chicken will absorb smoke quicker than anything else, and you have to be really careful with that.
Oh yeah, well, and that when you picked it up, you could tap it on the table and make noise, you know.
Well, so, I've never had one like that, but
so yeah, he stayed away from that since. So he does everything else well, but we don't do fish.
Oh, wow.
Tully's never told me about his like initial ventures into smoking, but I assumed that there's a bunch of times that meat just ended up in the yard. He just got mad. Threw it out.
It's not even just meat. I've thrown out. This is gonna sound ridiculous. I've thrown out grills. Like I got I stand firm that you get what you pay for when it comes to certain grills, like pellet grills, stuff like that. Just because it has technology in it to keep your temperature regulated. And I got the bright idea. I burnt one out, and I was like, "Well, I need something," because I've got all these other things, and I was missing the pellet grill for certain things. So I went and bought one for like $200, and I got so mad that it ruined a cook. It was like the second time I cooked on it, or third. I just set it out on the curb. I was like, I'm not doing it.
I'm so anal retentive about like grills and barbecue, because I try not to be a very ego person, but I'm like, hey, I've competed. I've been doing this stuff since I was a kid. I know what I'm doing, you know. So like on the pellet grills, I was watching everybody for 10, 12 years, you know, going, oh, these pellet grills, they're awesome. I mean, people on the barbecue circuit going, oh, these are awesome. And finally I broke down and I bought one, and I bought a $600 Pit Boss, the vertical one.
Yep.
And I cooked on it about 4 times. I was never impressed with any of it, but me, which I'm a dumbass sometimes, I never cleaned the little ashtray thing underneath. And the fifth time cooking on it, it caught on fire. And I don't mean a little fire.
The whole thing burned out.
Like it caught on fire. There were flames on the inside, flames on the outside. The whole thing was on fire. And I kicked it over to the other side of the deck to get it out from anywhere near the house, and tried to put it out with the garden hose, which was a mistake because there was grease in there. And then it was 3 times the size. I literally pulled the pin. It's the only time in my life I've ever used a fire extinguisher. I pulled the pin on a fire extinguisher I had in my camper and put it out. And that was like a waste of $500, except for I know I don't like cooking on pellet smokers.
Yeah, the first one I had was amazing. It was a Gorilla, and it's actually a small business, so it's not big box, and their stuff was quality. Like you could fire it up in the dead of winter, set it to 350 or whatever you wanted to. And with the pit bosses, what I don't like, because my neighbor has one, he sets his to 350, and it'll put so many pellets out of the hopper that it immediately shoots up to like 500 degrees and has to come back down.
Yeah.
And in the winter, what'll happen is it'll spike it so bad it'll start throwing an error message, and that's the reason I threw that one out on the street. Like I wanted to cook something quick, and I set it to 350, and it kept throwing error messages. Yeah, but the Gorillas are double walled like a Yeti cup. And I don't know how this happened, because you know how tight those augers sit in there. They sit flush to the metal.
Yeah.
Somehow a spark got back into the hopper of pellets, and the whole thing, just like you're talking about, the whole thing was just one big fire.
Yeah.
And that was an expensive mistake. I don't even know what happened. I can't even call it a mistake, but it was ruined.
When the smoke starts coming back out the hopper on your pellet grill,
well, at the end of the day, if you know anything about like the Maillard effect and how combustion works whenever it comes down to barbecue, if you know anything about like the difference between charcoal and actually running wood, if you're talking about an offset smoker, there's a difference in flavor. And traditionally, the chemicals that you get in the air that are going around the meat and cooking the meat and being absorbed into the bark of the meat, a pellet grill, at least in my opinion, it can't do it, because you're burning sawdust, for lack of a better term, and you're not getting, I know this is way out there, but you're not getting the impurities that are in real wood or charcoal, and you're definitely not getting some of the components from charcoal where it's already, because charcoal is wood that's already been cooked down to where, you know, a lot of the impurities are gone from it. It's kind of like coke, like blacksmithing that they used back in the time. It burns more pure, but it's got a different taste and flavor to it. So for me, if you do a combination of charcoal and real hard wood, you're getting the best flavor. Pellet grills, they can't do that. They get the heat up there and they create smoke from the sawdust, but it's not the same type of smoke. True. And it's not the same type of flavor at the end of the product.
Yeah.
So it's like cooking with gas.
Sort of. You get more of a smoky flavor than gas, of course, but it's really for pellet smokers are for convenience.
Yes.
It's for speed and convenience, just like a gas grill.
Yes. Right. 100%. I don't even own a gas grill. All I have is charcoal. All I have is charcoal grills, because if I'm going to put a $20 steak on it, that you might as well walk in and cook it in the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you're not using wood in your new smoker?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, I was going to say
what I'm doing is with the what the hell's the name of it? What's the name of it, Steve? Old Country.
Old Country.
Yeah, with the Old Country that I have, I'm starting out, which I've had way more expensive smokers. I've had trailer smoker, but with this one that I have, which is pretty much just a deck smoker, I don't do anything else with it. Although, Steve, I admit you were right. I should have bought the insulated one. And
it's worth the money. You get what you pay for, that kind of stuff.
I should. Well, I ended up putting fire bricks in the firebox part of it.
Okay.
I put fire bricks in it. I extended the smokestack. I got rid of the baffle, and it cooks about as good as a couple $1,000 smokers that I've used before. No, what I do is I start with one chimney of charcoal for the heat source. And then I put my wood on it. And whenever it's up to temp, then I just keep feeding it wood. Maybe if I'm doing like a brisket, like I did yesterday, I'll throw another charcoal or another chimney of charcoal in there after 4 or 5 hours just to keep the heat evened out. But for me, the combination of charcoal and wood is the flavor that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. 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 I use red oak all the time. I know a lot of people have different preferences. East, there's a lot more hickory available, so a lot of people over there, they use hickory. In Texas, they use post oak. Yeah. I have red oak around here, so that's what I use.
I've used red oak a bunch. I've never seen a problem with it. A lot of people complain about it being too sweet. I've never seen a problem with it. I've cooked with straight post oak before, like especially on stuff like briskets. And I mean, it's great. It comes out great. But at the end of the day, I was born and raised in North Carolina, and I'm used to hickory, pecan, cherry, and that's predominantly what I use.
Yep.
I struggle with fruit woods. I don't know why. It's just like I tried cherry a couple times, and there was just something about it that it was almost coming through too strong for me. Like
really, yeah. I use cherry whenever I have cherry. I'll use cherry on ribs. I've never used cherry on a brisket, but I have used cherry on ribs before, and they come.
Typically, at least in my opinion, pork, any kind of, if you're doing ribs or pulled pork, a little bit of fruit wood goes a long way. You don't have to use a lot of it. It should not be your main wood that you're smoking with, in my opinion.
Maybe that's what the problem was. I was using too much.
It could be. And I will tell you something else. Any fruit wood that is not really, really dry, you're going to get a lot of the resin burn off in the smoke. So like apple is notorious for it. People will cut up apple and use it, 3 months or 6 months after they cut it up. With apple, that wood has to be dried for over a year to not get the resin effect. And cherry is similar. Peach is real bad. You really have to make sure that the peach is, beyond 6-7 months before you use that. But then again, the same thing comes down like pecan. If you get pecan that's really old, if it's more than 1.5 years or 2 years old, it doesn't produce hardly any flavor. I mean, like no real flavor. That's why people used to use pecan hulls with the fire. And they would throw it in the firebox because it would give you that pecan flavor that you were looking for.
I'm going to call this smoke theory.
Call it whatever you want.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Everything you're saying makes sense. I was unaware.
I mostly I cook at home. I've been to one competition, so that's. But with the competition, man, I know that right there. That has to be kind of grueling. The only one I ever went to. I mean, I was really intimidated. I'd never been to one before, but it was. But you used to do that all the time, and I want to hear about how you used to kick Malcolm Reed's butt whenever he goes.
No, I didn't. Malcolm Reed is one of my heroes. Malcolm, if you see this, which I've talked to him before, if you see this, that's bullshit.
That's what you were saying before the show, though, right?
I think
I got to get off here now.
He gave him the "let's get the cooking" phrase. He got that from Spencer.
Malcolm Reed's honey for the money is where it's at. On his method, it's not really the 3-2-1 method, but it's close. For cooking ribs, that's the way I do it. And let me tell you, ribs and pulled pork are the only things I've ever placed in a competition. Yeah. My chicken is good. It's come a long way since I was doing that. I don't do it anymore. My brisket, I never even tried brisket while I was in competition. And whenever I got out of it, I started brisket, and then I, wanted to just eat a bullet because I was so bad at wasting money on brisket for the first couple of years. But no, the competition thing, it's very intimidating. You walk around and everybody is so confident in what they're doing. You're like, look at that guy. He's doing something completely different than what the hell is he doing? What is he using and everything? And you see all these other people, and like the people whenever the gates actually open, and the whatever you call them, the customers or the people that are there to view it and everything, they come in and they can go sample and they try yours and they're like, oh yeah, that's good. Then they go to the next table. Oh, that's really, really good. It's like, man, damn, what are you wrong? That'll hurt your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Lee Hickle at the competition I went to, and which I'm not sure how he's ranked this year, but the year in that cook-off, he was in the top, probably the top 10, I'm guessing. But he let me try one of his ribs that he cooked, and it's like, wow, it was. You talk about it was wild, just how good it was. I mean, I overcooked mine. That was my problem.
The overcooked thing. But see, like in competition, if you ask the average person, hey, would you like some baby back ribs? They're like, yeah. And if they fall off the bone, they're like, oh man, those were awesome. They fall off the bone. In competition,
that's a terrible thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a horrible thing.
Well, is it a horrible? I love ribs.
No, I mean at a competition. That's not what you want to hear. That's not what you want to hear.
At a competition, if they take one bite and the whole thing pulls off, you're done. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. And see, I think stuff like that is, I mean, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? You should
be judged on your flavors.
You should be able to barbecue something to the way that you want it to taste and that people around you enjoy. If you're constricted by all of these rules, like chicken, you don't have to use chicken thighs, but if you don't use chicken thighs, you're not going to place anywhere.
Yeah.
And I will say chicken thighs are the better product to barbecue. But if you turned in the most amazing wings in the world, you're not going to place because it's not chicken thighs. If you use mesquite on a brisket, just a little bit, just enough to give it that hint of mesquite, they're going to taste that mesquite and they're going to be like, nope, because that's not traditional. It's not, they're very dogmatic in the way that they look at everything and taste everything. In competition is not, with competition, you're trying to get all of the flavor you can in one or two bites. And that is not something that you would want to make at home and your whole family eat.
Right. Yeah. That's the part I've never understood about it, is just, I don't know. I mean, it's I tasted, we were all letting each other sample. It wasn't a very big competition, so, I mean, some of us, we were cutting some of the ribs up and passing them around and seeing, I mean, one of the judges liked the flavor, that I produced, but but like I said, I overcooked it. And I mean, one of the guys that finished higher than me, after I ate the rib he gave me, I was picking ribs out of my teeth because it's kind of good night. I serve that to my family.
Ribs to me I always like it better when they just kind of slide off that bone. You know what I mean?
Me too.
like that, they're so good like that. That's how I make them.
Whenever I cook beef ribs, I mean, you can just slide the bone out. That's how what I cook them to. I mean, overcook everything probably.
Cooking in any form, cooking is subjective to whoever is eating it and tasting it. Yeah. And all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, you could have a 5-star restaurant in your town that serves the greatest Italian food in the world, and you get somebody from Texas and they're like, that spaghetti sucked. It needed more Parmesan on her. You're not going to get anywhere with having accolades from competition cooking.
Yeah. That's
That's controversial too.
Don't throw that up. Don't put that back.
A little segue. I found a picture of Tully in his wing cooking process. He invites Bigfoot and
This is
Mothman.
the segue.
Crystal said that's kind of a strange standard. So what do they look for in a competition? Right? I guess
what do they look for in a competition? They have rules on. So your 4 main categories are brisket, pork ribs, pulled pork, and chicken. With the chicken, they're looking for bite through skin, which means you render the fat all the way down. The problem with that is on chicken, it's a very lean cut of meat anyway, doesn't have a lot of fat. So when you render the fat all the way down, there is such a fine line where you're going to dry out the chicken. So they want a juicy bite with smoke, not necessarily barbecue sauce, but smoke on it, some kind of seasoning. But they want to be able to bite through the skin. And like, for example, if you bite through the skin and the whole slab of the chicken skin comes off, you're going to lose points. They have to bite through just like on a rib. On a pork rib, whether you're doing baby backs or spares, they need to be able to bite and take one bite and go all the way through without the rest of it sliding off the bone. If it does, you're going to lose points. Well, the problem with pork is that if you don't render the fat down to the point where it's slippery, then it's very grainy. And you don't want grainy, but you don't want slippery where it comes off the bone. So what you're dealing with is like a 10-minute window of like the exact temperature where you pull it and then you serve it. And the problem with that is outside ambient temperature, the wind blowing, all of that stuff can change the way that you cook, especially on like a stick burner. It can change the way that you cook dramatically. Now, brisket is more of a open category, but they're more picky about it. So with brisket, they're looking for flop. Whenever you pick it up, should be about 1/4 inch thick. If you're doing slices from the point or the
flat
end. Yeah, so normally people cut right in the middle. That they cut right where the flat is meeting the point, but you're going for about 1/4 inch thick slice. You should be able to hold it up with your finger and it just bend around and jiggle it and it not pull apart. But whenever you go to pull it apart, it should pull apart. And the fat in the middle of it should be rendered down to the point where it's what we call yellow and hollow, to where the fat is actually like a more yellow color and you can see visible holes in the fat where it's rendered so much. But brisket is more about flavor. From what I understand, I didn't compete with brisket, but brisket is more about flavor and they're looking for more of a traditional kind of Texas crust on it, more just salt and pepper and smoke and nothing else.
Yeah.
And then pulled pork is anybody's game, except for in my case, because you can't use like a real Carolina sauce. They do not like that shit at all. They do not like the straight vinegar sauce. No, they want like a Kansas City sauce on it.
Oh man,
I love Carolina sauce though.
Carolina. The vinegar base.
The chicken thing. I mean, what if somebody has a snaggle tooth? That's going to pull that skin off every time.
Yeah, that's not even factored in. That's a good point, Cecil. That's a good point.
That's what I say too. It's the judge's fault.
Right.
Well, what about Greg's comment? What do you think about white sauce?
I try not to think about it, and he's an asshole for posting that comment because he knows that I will react to that. In my opinion, white sauce is glorified mayonnaise or glorified ranch dressing. It's not a barbecue sauce.
I tried it on wings once, and it was literally like dipping a wing in mayonnaise.
Really?
Yeah.
So I live like 45 minutes from Mobile.
Yeah.
So it's popular down in this area. And I've used it just to dip because I don't like dry meat. And if that's what's sitting there and the meat's kind of dry, I'm going to dip it into something. But yeah, if it's not seasoned well, it's definitely just like throwing a slab of mayonnaise on it.
Thank you, House. No, in all honesty, I'm not a fan of white sauce. I don't have anything against it. It is better on chicken than on anything else. I've made it myself 3-4 times trying to figure out if I was doing something wrong. I started off with like Big Bob Gibson's overall recipe, and then I tried some tweaks that other people recommended. I'm not saying it's bad. Me personally, I don't care for it. It does not resemble a barbecue sauce, in my opinion. I mean, typically a barbecue sauce, you're going to have some type of tomato, some type of sugar, whether it's molasses or corn syrup or brown sugar, whatever you're doing, and vinegar. And then you're adding spices to it. You know, you're adding paprika, chili powder, onion, garlic, lemon juice, whatever, black pepper, you know, and it's more, white sauce is more like a salad dressing to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Agreed.
I'd just as soon have ranch as white sauce to dip
the
dry meat in. Yeah.
I would. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Man, you got some haters in the comments.
These are all my friends.
You can always count on your friends.
This is my family. So Roger right there is he's got Squatch and Holler, which just went on Doug Highcheck's channel. So y'all should check out Squatch and Holler
100
on Untold Radio Network. And then Greg and Misty are we're the three amigos that host Woodwalkers. So we're all family. They're just showing up to give me shit right now.
if they didn't love you, they wouldn't do it. That's for
Well,
sure.
Right.
we kind of got PTSD. We had a really famous flat earther on our show a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And there was so much legitimate hate coming in the comments that Cecil was having to bounce people faster than we could even see him coming in. So you just let us know.
Yeah, it got a little wild with that guy, but I mean that's a controversial subject anyway, and
He's a very controversial dude.
and with flat Earth, it's like,
but the comments were more bigoted than about flat Earth.
They were about him being Jewish.
well, just like with Bigfoot researchers and Bigfoot hunters and things like this, there's different communities for it. And certain communities don't like the other one. Well, with flat Earth, that's like times 100.
Yeah.
So they like, your flat Earth is different than my flat Earth. I hate you.
And those of us on the outside are like, you all believe in flat Earth. We put you all together, but no, they got separate functions inside that whole flat Earth.
There's a lot of infighting. Like I go to a lot of cryptid conferences, not just Bigfoot. Yes. And at every single one of them, there's infighting that's constantly going on.
Yeah. We typically stay out of the drama. We don't do the drama thing. I'll have anybody on the show as long as they're coherent and making sense. But we do our own thing. Like Greg, that's in the chat right now. He's had way more personal experiences than I have, than Misty has, than a lot of people have. So he's like the guy that I look to for a lot of validation on what these people are saying. Now, I've had a shit ton of stuff too, but he's had way more than me. Misty she's, I don't know, like a naturalist. She does the Bigfoot thing, but she also knows so much about psychic stuff and like herbs, and she makes tinctures and medicines and all this kind of stuff. So the three of us together, we kind of really even the rough edges out on each other, and we just try to stay away from the drama, and we try to put the best that we can, the real information out there, everything from our own personal experiences to the other people that we know. And I think, you know, for a small channel, I think we bring a lot to the table because we have a lot of people on that really know what they're talking about, like legitimate people that are out there actually doing it, not the people that are doing conferences all the time or the people that are just trying to sell books. The people that are for real boots on the ground and have done this for years and want to share their real experiences.
Well, I think that's great. That really outlines the problem, the same problems that we've experienced with having certain people on. It's like, and you can really tell, like, you know, because we've got Steven and like Steven is our baseline. So I can usually discern people really quick by the way that they're talking at these things.
Yeah.
And that's why we haven't had a ton of cryptid guests. So usually we'll just do some research and talk about it ourselves. And we'd love to have firsthand people on, but it's just so hard to discern that credibility out in the wild.
Yeah. The way I like to describe Steven is he's the intelligent one, and then Tully's the business guy, and Morgana is also the intelligent one. Tully's the business guy / douchebag.
So you didn't realize the trouble they were in to agree to come.
You're throwing stones, Cecil. Cecil actually has that title, if you can't tell.
But no, I mean, he ain't wrong. It's so weird that there's like hate amongst these, like all of them, like any, like a conspiracy theorist, like JFK, for instance. I know one person that thinks JFK was assassinated because of the mafia, and one that thinks that he's assassinated by the CIA. And they're like, "Oh, that person's stupid," you know. I'm like, "Well, couldn't it be kind of both?" You know.
I think that any subject that you get into the weeds on anyway, if you really get into any subject, the people on the outside that don't know anything about the subject, they lump you all together. So somebody would be like, "Hey, Spence believes in Bigfoot," and they would lump me in a category with like Bob Gimlin or Jeff Meldrum.
Yeah.
But we have completely different opinions and completely different experiences on the subject. You don't realize that until you get into the subject and actually start going through all of the stuff that people were saying. Steve and his friend Will and I, we have different techniques and different theories about this stuff. And I guess at the end of the day, I'll say this, like I say on my show all the time, there are no experts. There are no experts in the cryptid field. It's all theory, and the best that we can do is present like what we've experienced and the evidence that we have, and say, I think this and this go together. Causation doesn't always equal, you know, where it came from. You know what I'm saying? And it's any subject, barbecue.
Yeah.
J.R. Haynes, that's in the comments right now, that is Misty's husband. And he said, go ahead and really describe Squirrel's role on the show, which is not much. She's there to give me shit. She's kind of eye candy, but she's there to give me shit.
That's a perfect way to describe me. I'm the eye candy.
Get out of here, dude.
Everybody loves her and gives me so much help.
Oh boy.
Awesome.
Oh man. Well, Spencer, I know that y'all have done a lot of the meet and greets and stuff like that. I know you've done that with Mark and Larry, and you've had your own stuff like that. Whenever you're cooking, have you ever had any odd activity around whenever you're cooking something that's really, really good? I know, like you're cooking pork butts or whatever out there in the woods. You know?
I've never. The only 2 times I've ever cooked out in the woods on a Bigfoot thing was one time at Mark Green's property, which is what Greg was referencing. I made ribs, and I did it. There was this busted ass gas grill that was like laying down, at the campsite. It was like full of rust and everything. And I was like, well, this will work. And I put charcoal in it. And if you've never tried to do charcoal in a gas grill that doesn't have vents on it, so that's like kind of propping the hood open and like trying to get enough airflow. But I made ribs one time and they came out pretty good. And then another time I cooked for Mark and Larry while we were and then one other time I cooked for Mark and Larry while we were in North Georgia.
North Georgia.
Next to a closed down campground. We were in a state park area, and we knew they had booger activity. And this one campground had been closed down. It was built and brand new, and after like 1 year, they closed the campground down. And they said it was because of storm damage. Well, you go looking in that part that was closed off, and everything was fine. It was perfectly fine. And it was like, well, why did they close it down? And then there were some other people involved that I know personally that they were like, hey, we were camping there, and this, we heard the vocals, we heard the screams and everything. And this guy came walking down the road with a sword, and he was like, I am out of here. And I don't know what he was doing up there camping with a sword to start out with, but he was scared shitless. And he just like left in the middle of the night. So I was like, yeah, I'd like to go there. Well, I got the chance to go there. So I cooked for Mark and Larry, but no, I've never had anything respond to me cooking. Having said that, though, I've never cooked bacon in the middle of the woods, which a lot of people talk about doing.
Yeah.
I've never done that. So
yeah. I know some guys, they'll take some honey and put it in a pot and put it beside the fire, to let that aroma get out.
I think we need to address this right here. Do you actually go out and still get meat at a barbecue place and act like you cooked it?
All the time.
God. If you ain't got haters in the comments right now, we're not live.
You don't understand. They're not even the haters. This is my family.
What did he say? Well, I've seen him smoke cigars. That's about it.
Guilty.
Oh, goodness. You can't get through life without friends.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
And I've always said, if I don't like you, I'm not going to give you a hard time. I just won't even speak to you. So
what about like unexplainable things? Or is there any like unexplained stories, noises, things that you saw while out researching that you are able to share or want to share?
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about me personally, or if you're talking about the people that I know and some of the stuff that people.
Yeah, either. Sure.
Well, I will say, okay, so like for me personally, the battery drainage, the battery's going completely dead on recorders and cameras whenever they were either fully charged or had brand new fresh batteries in them. That's really weird. I have theories about it. I can't explain it.
This was out in the middle of the woods, like it just middle of nowhere. That's okay.
I've only had that happen 2 times, but both times it was really there was no doubt. It was freaky because it was literally just put fresh batteries in this, and it wasn't just me. It was the other people around me. It was 3-4 other people around me. Everybody looks down and goes, holy shit, yeah, mine too. And it's all dead. And then like go back to camp and it comes on again.
Yep. Goes back to working.
Yep. So, I mean, that's unexplainable. I've seen what I think could have possibly been a UAP, UFO. Just the way that it moved, where it was going so fast and like made a hard 90-degree turn.
Mm-hmm.
But that was so quick.
Yeah.
If you're a rational person,
You know, it's funny. It's funny she said GoPro. Like the only time I've ever had the reason I was asking you if you were in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
I had this happen in a huge. It was the third largest graveyard in the United States, and it's a hard press for GoPro. And I had it on a stick, so nope, there was nothing touching it. Like nobody could have touched it, and that's the only place I've ever had the GoPro hard turned off in the middle of an investigation.
Totally almost lived this down. And that just reminded me.
I was waiting.
So
you know, I don't want to hear it. The ghost turned my camera off, dude.
I want to tell this story. So totally, we had a show where we would go out and like film graveyards and stuff and react live to it. So Totally goes to this massive graveyard up there, and he says, you know, there was a lady dressed in all black in like some kind of antique clothing from head to toe. And today it kind of freaked me out. And I was like, well, did you get it? He's like, no.
It was while I was cussing this camera out. Well, here's what I'm dealing with. The camera turns off. I'm like cussing because I'm trying to like film this historic, beautiful place. And while I'm cussing, my wife is like, I'm never coming back out here again. She's just going to get mad. And so I'm dealing with all of this like stimulation. And then I look up and I see this woman, her back's to me. And it wasn't until we were like watching it back that I was thinking about this, but I was in a part of the graveyard where the people's grandchildren would be dead. So there was but here's why it didn't strike me weird to begin with. This place being the third largest graveyard in the United States, it has a funeral palooza.
Sure.
They've got like 6 separate funeral homes at the front of this place that can do like 35 funerals a day. So there's people in black all over the graveyard. It just didn't strike me as weird until later on.
Yeah, and you know, the one woman went to a funeral by herself, hovering down a road dressed in
18th century widow's weeds.
So here's what I told them. I'll tell you the same thing. I said the next time if I ever see anything like that again, I'll just go tackle them for good measure.
Totally reaches out to her and says, "Can you hold my camera for a minute? This is pissing me off."
Yeah, that was a bad day for the show. But we did catch some tidbits though here and there when we were doing that show. Different lots that were unexplainable.
We never did explain them. So,
but yeah, the GoPro thing. That's why I was asking, because like usually, I mean, the only time that's ever happened to me was in a sort of a paranormal capacity.
I mean, I've been out walking, like on my property where I am now. Well, actually, I was on the neighbor's property, which is a hunt club, and I didn't have permission to be there, but I was over there after hunting season and snooping around looking for structure and stuff like that, and then coming back right at sunset, because I happened to look around and I was like, well, shit, I got to get back, because I was about a mile away from my home, and the sun was going down, but I got growled at. And if you've ever been around, I cannot stress this enough, if you've ever been around boogers for real, whenever they vocalize in person, it's very distinct. It's the audio recordings and everything that you see on YouTube and all of that kind of stuff, that does not do it justice. When they do it for real, you can viscerally, you can feel it, you can tell that it's something. I mean, even whenever they do a growl, it's a very powerful kind of projected thing, and it hits you, and there is no that fight or flight kicks in, and there's no way. None of this is none of anything that I'm going to say is going to change anybody's mind that has not been there with it. The best I can do is describe to you what myself and a bunch of people that I know personally will try to convey, which is if you were there when it happened, you would have a whole different appreciation than watching videos of it. And I do think people take advantage of that, and I do think people exaggerate and bullshit about it on YouTube and Facebook and all of this kind of stuff. But I can tell you firsthand my experience. I didn't start out going, oh, I just believe in Bigfoot and show me every little dark shadow in the woods and I'll think it's a booger. But like I got growled at, and I had heard other people talk about this before, but I never experienced it myself. I got growled at, and it was a very low, rumbling, bassy, penetrating growl that only lasted for about a second and a half. And I paused mid-step, like literally I froze, and one of my feet was halfway off the ground. Whenever I consciously said, oh shit. And I looked over, and where I looked, it was trees and maybe a little bit of shrubs right there, some low vegetation, but there was nothing within 100 feet to hide behind. And there was nothing there.
That's so wild, man.
And then I've seen at Mark Green's property, I've seen unexplained lights here and then there and then here and then there and then here and then there. I mean, it was like if it was somebody with flashlight, there were 40 of them out there flicking them off and on at different times. And then on the same night, we heard the 500-pound owl. If you know anything about boogers, you've heard people talk about the 500-pound owl, and it went hoo hoo hoo, and
That's me.
not hoo, 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 not that hoo hoo hoo.
Yeah.
And we ran up there with thermals. Then we came back and we looked over, and I would never say this part out loud if there was not 5 or 6 people standing behind me that backed up what I'm about to say. All I can tell you is there was something that was 7 or 8 foot tall. They are. There was something that is 7, 8 foot tall, and it just looked like a shadow. And I mean, it went from one tree to another tree that was probably 15 feet apart, just as smooth as any. Like I cannot describe how smooth this was. It just went whoop, over to the other one, and I was like, "What?" And it went whoop, and it went right back. Either that or there was another one that ran. I don't know. And then it went whoop again, and I'm looking at the trees, and one of my best friends standing right beside me, and I'm like trying not to not look at the tree, but talk to him. I'm like, "Did you see that?" He's like, "No, what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the shadow." And then other voices behind me are like, "Yeah." And I turn around, and there's like 6 people standing behind me, and we're all looking at the same thing. We all saw it, and it just like that kind of movement, the way that it did that, whatever that was. Whether it was a booger, whether it was a ghost.
So, and this, I guess this question isn't just for you, but everybody in the comments too. Like, do you think that they have some kind of cloaking technology or like cloaking ability, natural camouflage, like,
well, natural camouflage for sure.
Yeah.
But when you get into the supernatural aspect of them, I will tell you this. I started out, which I got very lucky with the people that I met whenever I first got into this. I actually met some of the people that were the real deal off the get-go, so I didn't go through the boomerang of being out there with a bunch of people that were full of it. But I started out thinking completely flesh and blood, and Misty's going to give me hell about this, but I started out completely thinking flesh and blood and trying to ascribe some kind of way that they could do these unexplainable things.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that after years of doing this now, I've seen stuff that literally I've seen stuff where I went home and just like didn't talk to anybody about it for months, just trying to wrap my head around what the hell is this. And I went through this process where I was like, okay, I know boogers exist. I completely 100. I think I've seen ghosts, so I believe in like some of the supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
And I think a couple things when it comes to this area, and this is a very complicated part of Bigfoot stuff. I think that a lot of people misunderstand or misinject what something is whenever it's happening.
Oh, yeah.
But I've seen enough at this point that I think, even though I think they're flesh and blood, the best way I can describe it is my personal opinion. I think they're flesh and blood, but I think they have skills and abilities that we do not right now currently understand. I don't think they're spiritual beings. I don't think that a lot of the stuff that they do is jumping in and out of portals. I don't think it's that. I do think that portals could exist. And I do think there's a possibility. I think there's a possibility that these things are, we're third dimensional beings, but we can see stuff in 2D, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What if they are 4-dimensional beings, but they can affect and operate stuff in the 3rd dimensional world, but they can also do stuff in a 4th dimension that we can't really perceive or understand?
Mm-hmm.
I hate to get that far out there, but at this point, I'm really lost for how to explain.
I've got a good one.
Go ahead.
I heard an explanation about this. It'd be like if we lived in the same world as Super Mario, where we were used to like a side-scrolling world, and that was the only world we ever knew. And you told Mario the truth that he was just in a game, and the real world doesn't look like that. It doesn't matter how much you would try to explain to Mario what our world looked like out here in the 3rd dimension. Mario's never going to get it. And you can't really take Mario and put him into the 3rd dimension, because it would probably drive him crazy if he did.
Well, there's also a study that came out that they've basically confirmed that humans can't see everything that's in front of them.
Of course.
Yeah. And so that really lays a lot of credence into what you're saying, because that's kind of where I'm at with it too. Like with all the sightings of these cryptids and things of this nature, they are 4th dimensional.
Humans can only see about 20,000. What do you call it? I forget the nomenclature for it, but we can only see about 20,000. I forget what they call it, but like bandwidths in the light spectrum. Okay. And the light spectrum, we know for a fact, goes upwards of 100 and some thousand. Okay. So we're seeing 20% or less of the visible thing that other creatures can see of other. Well, a perfect example is like thermal. We don't see in thermal. There are some animals, very few, that can actually see thermally. Now, they see different than we see, but still they're participating in a reality where they see the world a different way than we do. As far as our audible senses go, we only go from about 300 up to about 15,000 on a spectrum of kilohertz as far as hearing goes. Well, hearing goes way up there. So if we can't see it, if we can't hear it, our sense of smell is atrocious as humans. We're at the bottom of the food chain. we can't move as fast as most critters out there. I guess what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, we're at the top of the food chain in our own world because of our intellect and because we control a lot of it. That doesn't mean that there's not something bigger and badder out there, but we have formed this psychosis where we think we understand science. We think we understand physics. We think we understand the natural world. And the truth is, we are so limited in our ability,
even human physiology for that point.
But our mindset, we have a big ego.
Oh, yeah.
And we think that we understand what should be out there in the natural world based off of what we have recorded and captured and studied and all that kind of stuff. But whenever you get to that point of ego where you think you know everything, you're just opening the door for something to come in and kick you in the ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And Mr. Deo, when we spoke with him, he explained it as like some creatures. He's talking about, you know, aliens and things, but they can ascend and descend. So I mean, that's from like these different stations.
He explains it a lot more gracefully than that. But
a lot more.
Again, this is a point that's overlooked a lot, but we exist in a world that has multiple dimensions that scientifically can be proven, but we inhabit a third dimension world. We inhabit a 3D world. We can interact with a 2-dimension thing. We can see it. We can understand it. If somebody makes a drawing on a piece of paper, it's 2D, but we can see it, recognize it, interact with it, understand it. If something happened on a 4th dimension level, we have no concept of it. So it would make sense that anything that was a higher dimensional being can interact with us, but we can't really perceive it unless it wants us to, or understand it unless it's interacting with us.
Yeah, with that right there, we've had this conversation before. You know, dimensions. I like to say we live 3.5 dimensions because we count time as a dimension, but we can only move forward in it. So it's basically a half a dimension for us. Yeah. So is what I like to say.
And time is a human construct.
Yes.
And gravity is a byproduct of like mass and time. There's a lot of stuff. Whenever you get into the alien thing, this, you know, if you're open-minded to it, this is how aliens move around. You know, you're doing some kind of anti-gravitational thing, or
I've always tend to think that they're more interdimensional. I tend to think, you know, fallen angels, stuff like that. That's where I go with it. You know, I've got a biblical worldview on everything. That's that right there is, you know, what that is. I mean, you're talking about these lights that we see. We don't know exactly for sure what it is we're seeing, but you're talking about seeing lights in the sky. They're just cruising along, and then all of a sudden they make a 90-degree turn and go straight up or something.
Yep.
What exactly is that?
At this point, I'm open to. There's stuff out there that I don't understand what it is, and I'm just going out and trying to experience it. I try to document it as best I can. There's a very famous story about me going to Kumbo's and us getting out of the truck, and Kumbo does a call, and I'm in there with all of this gear. I've got like $3,000 worth of gadgetry and gear, and we get out of the truck because we were going to dinner, so I didn't know. And he does a call, and I don't have a recorder going, I don't have a thermal going, nothing. And as soon as he does a call, before the echo even stops, this thing screams back, and I'm telling you, 15 people were there, and we were all going because it was right there. I didn't record it, and they gave me hell about it. They still do to this day.
It's
that's
I've
my
got a similar
lady in black. That's your lady in black.
Oh yeah. William has done the same thing to me. We had Daniel Becker from Alaska. He came down to go out with me and William every one time. We went to an area we call the Dark Woods. I'll tell you where that is later. But I just parked the truck. I was still sitting in the truck. William and Daniel, they were walking down to the water. And before I could turn the audio recorder on, I think I even had it in my hand. William does a call. And we instantly get a call back.
What's up, Easy?
I don't have it. And another time, I'll go ahead and tell you this right here because I was so mad. I was so mad. It's another time we were in the area we call the Dark Woods. We've been out and we'd had some vocalizations in different parts of the area, which is a big area. And we were headed home. It already got dark. We were like two kids that got to go do whatever because we got permission from our wives to go out like on a Thursday night. Headed out. It was coming home, and I pulled past the bridge and I stopped and I backed up. I was like, William, go ahead and do another call, see if you can get something going. And he did the call, and we instantly got a call back. And I'm listening to this thing go off, and I said, William's like, yeah, that's a coyote. But the call keeps going. If this was a coyote, he had lungs the size of an elephant.
Yeah. Right.
And at the end of this coyote call, he go whoop, whoop, whoop.
Really?
I've never heard anybody describe one like that before. I've never heard one before or since.
I've never heard that. No.
I was so mad. I was ready to just quit. I told my wife, I'm done. I'm not going back anymore.
There was
I didn't have it recorded.
I've heard an account of a one person that goes out searching, and they said that Bigfoot and Dogman run together, and like Dogman's kind of like a pet or something. Do you think that might have been it? Like Dogman yelling first, and then
I'll say this around here. I know the Dogmen. There are some Dogmen that will run with the Bigfoot in this particular area. Now, I know when I talked to Vic about it, Vic was like, I've had less than 10 people out of however many shows Vic's done that had ever said anything like that. But I mean, they do it here. I don't know if they
and like something like that, this comes into play with the conversation about cryptids. They do different stuff in different areas. I can tell you personally where I am in southwestern Virginia is very different than Daniel Boone. It's very different than LBL. It's very different than North Georgia. And it's extremely different than Alabama. It's different than North Carolina and Uwharrie and Cherokee National Forest. They behave differently in different locations. I've never experienced anything that would lead me to believe that Dogman runs together with boogers.
Right.
But like what he's saying, it's very possible. I mean, Stephen lives.
I'm like 30 minutes from Texas and 20 minutes from Oklahoma. I'm in
1,600 miles away from where I live. It's very possible that they behave differently. If you look at deer in Florida, especially in the southern tip, there's an island where the deer are about as big as a small lab. Mm-hmm. And then if you go to Canada or Illinois, some of the deer are, field dressed, they're 300 pounds,
Sounds good. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy said Rumble's buffering the knot for some reason.
Well, Spencer, I'll just go ahead and tell you the area that William and I call Ground Zero, it's different from the area that we call the Dark Woods, and they're less than 15 miles apart. In Ground Zero, William can get them to answer back to calls. They won't hardly answer me because they join my property. But in the Dark Woods, they do more tree knocks in that area right there than any place I've ever been. More than more than Oklahoma, more than north of me in the Ozarks. They do tree knocks in the daytime down there. In Oklahoma, they throw more rocks.
Here where I am, they only vocalize a couple times out of the year. And I mean, I've tried every month out of the year for years now. And couple different times in the early fall and in the late spring, they will if I do a call, they will vocalize here, but they'll only do it once. It's not like they'll keep doing it. If you go out the next night, they're not going to do it again. But typically, like if I go out and do like a whoop, I'll get a knock or a whistle. Now, if I go to LBL, there are times of the year where, and I know most of the times of the year, if I go down there and do a call, they'll vocalize right back. It's no big deal. Go to Alabama, I've heard them respond to other people. I've never done a call in Alabama, but Alabama, they are so prevalent that they'll respond with knocks, with whoops, with whistles, with the crow call, with the owl calls. They'll respond back vocally with just a booger cry. You know, it's different all throughout the country. And again, see, that's why I think it's more a flesh and blood living thing, is because they behave like other living animals. I think that they have extra abilities and skills. Misty, shut up. Trying to have a serious conversation here.
It's hard.
We forgot to say hello to Alan. I saw him a minute ago too. Yeah, I'm sure he's here for this.
I can't have him put my glasses back on because I literally can't see shit without it.
On a kind of going back to how we started out on this, where you asked if there was some unexplained stuff, I do want to say this. This is this is one show, because you said I could throw in there some stuff that other people have.
Anything you want to talk about.
Whatever you want to go with it. Hey,
I'm crazy.
I'm going to tell you one of the things that creep me out the most, especially since I've been doing the YouTube show. Roger, who's in here, we had his son on. His son is Peyton, and Peyton's super cool. And Peyton tells us this story. I'm going to give you the abridged version. I don't know why this bothers me, but it bothers me. Peyton was riding around with a friend in southern central Tennessee at night, and they were going down the road, and he's talking to his friend. Had just gone through something really traumatic. I forget what. I think it was the death of a loved one or something. I forget exactly, but they slow down as they're coming around this turn and going into a straight stretch, because there's a black dog in the middle of the road. And they slow down, and they're getting fairly close to this thing, and the dog looks at them, and it has no eyes. They can see the holes, like it has no eyes. They can see the occipital orb. There's no eyes in the orbs.
Okay.
And the dog runs off the road, jumps out into what would be a field, but is lower down. And whenever it hits the field, which the grass or whatever was planted there was a little bit tall, whenever it hits it, it turns into smoke.
Shoo.
Have you ever heard the ancient stories of the black dog?
Yeah, I've heard some.
Let me tell you something. If you will go back and watch, which I'm not trying to self-promote, but
by all means,
Peyton's interview is on our channel, I don't know, 2 years ago. Go back and watch him tell that story and look at him talking. I'm telling you right now. I mean, I know the guy personally. He's a really good man. He's Roger's son. He's not making that up. And that right there, stuff like that, I've heard other people talk about straight. I'm not even talking about Bigfoot. The Bigfoot stuff, I don't care about. I've done the Bigfoot stuff so long now. I know boogers are real. I talk to so many people every week that will confirm so much crap about Bigfoot that like eventually you get sick of it. You get tired of it. But stuff like that right there, I mean, you're talking about like Native American and even like European colonizing of this country.
Yes.
Stories about the black dog and his description of it. It's just like, to see something like that's way more rare than like a booger. That's way more rare than Bigfoot.
This is one of those times. Yeah, this is one of those times I would love to. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. She used to have a huge channel on TikTok. Her name is Sarah. She had a channel called Paranormally Correct.
Don't know.
And she would hold basically like she did a coast to coast thing.
Yeah.
And on TikTok, that kind of stuff's really popular. So there'd be, thousands of people popping in just to share their stories. And she got really honed into a murder that occurred at LBL where it was more than likely dog man. Like it wasn't bear like, but there was a lot of controversy. Like there was a dude involved in this, and Cecil, keep me honest here. There was a dude involved in all of it that also could have been the murderer, if I'm understanding that correctly. Yeah. And he was blaming it got really hairy really fast.
So this is one of those things that like I'm very touchy on. And I'm touchy on it because I know LBL and because I know Kumbo. Yeah. So let me put this in perspective. And Kumbo has talked about this on our show.
Yeah, yes, Roger.
Yeah,
yes, Roger. I didn't want to say it, but yes, it was, Roger.
I don't even know where to begin with this. So much has been made about the beast of LBL.
Yeah.
So, okay, if we could rewind 20 years ago from right now, was probably about the first time that Tim Kumbo Baker on Bigfoot Outlaws talked about the beast of LBL.
Yep.
Now, there was a lady that was working at a gas station down the road from LBL that originally made the claim. She came out publicly and stated that these people came in and they were trying to use the phone and they saw bodies that were torn up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the story, the abbreviated version of the story is that a family went camping at LBL. I've been there to the spot along with other people. Remind me to tell you about the cadaver dogs, but I've been there to the spot. The spot is, I could see it happening there, but it's not a really likely location for this kind of thing. Whenever I first heard about it, I thought bullshit. But anyway, Kumbo is the person that brought this story out into the Bigfoot cryptid world. If you don't know who Tim Kumbo Baker is, you're really messing out.
Yeah.
He's a friend. You know him?
Yeah. We've I got
him on the show.
Oh, you had him on?
Yeah. It's yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that, but
we didn't go with that. I mean, he had so many other stories, we didn't.
Oh yeah, it is wild.
Kumbo and the Bigfoot Outlaws is how I got into the Bigfoot thing, because I was teaching wilderness survival and teaching a Japanese martial art and all this stuff. And I'm working for myself and I'm homeschooling my kids. And then I see something about Bigfoot on YouTube. It was an MK Davis video. It was the breakdown of Patty moving the scapula and the hematoba on the thigh. Yep. And I'm homeschooling my kids, and this video pops up in the background, and I'm like, what? And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I think that looks real to me. But
Yeah.
I didn't give two thoughts about Bigfoot. I mean, I grew up in the South, you know, fishing, hunting, and camping and everything, and I'm out there all the time. I never thought two thoughts about Bigfoot, but I saw that. And then the next day, because YouTube did that thing back in the day where it would roll on and do other videos that were kind of similar, a Bigfoot Outlaws video comes on. And then I started watching them. And I'm like messaging them like, hey, take me out and show me what you're talking about. I had no idea that thousands of people were messaging them and everything. But I got lucky and ended up going out with them. Long story short, I know Kumbo personally. His accounting is, I don't want to put words in his mouth. Forgive me, Kumbo, if I get this wrong. But Kumbo was, for a fact, the first person to bring it out into the Bigfoot cryptid world as far as the beast of LBL goes. Right. And the way that he says it is that one of his hometown friends had a brother that grew up to become a national forest person or a park ranger or something like that. When Kumbo was going to take a scout troop up to LBL to do this trip thing with the scouts, he reached out to the guy and asked him about certain areas of LBL that would be good to have them do a hike or something like that. And the guy says, yeah, I'll meet you out there. The guy meets Kumbo, which this is somebody that Kumbo grew up with, but wasn't in the same grade level or the same age group or something like that. But he knew him from childhood. His parents and this guy's parents went to church or something together. And the guy describes to him what actually happened at the scene of the beast of LBL, the family attack. And what the guy said, what the ranger said was, and I'll skip all the gory details, but the girl was found in a tree. The son and the dad, well, the dad was killed right there at the camper while he was underneath it trying to get like the leveler jacks or something leveled. I think the son was killed there too. The mom and the daughter were inside the camper. The beast came in. The mom fought like hell, tore all kinds of stuff up. They found where she was fighting without all the gory detail. And the girl was found in a tree. This has been backed up by the lady that was at the gas station describing the couple that drove through and saw the murder scene, however you would describe that. It's been backed up by other people that talk about what was described in the newspaper. It was so horrific that, number one, I really don't think it's possible for a human being to do the amount of damage that was done there. The girl was about 30 feet up in the tree. The way that they found the girl was combing the woods, and two of the rangers were going down there. I think it might have been the ranger that was speaking to Kumbo, where the blood was dripping on the brim of his hat as he walked under the tree, and he happened to stop and look up and shine a light up there, and they saw the body. And then there is the story of the bow hunter, which happened at LBL also. And there have been a couple popular people make stories about the bow hunter that are not correct. But anyway, all of this to say that, and the cadaver dogs. So Sawdust Beast, which is a group that I'm affiliated with, we had a meet and greet out there. We had quite a few people out there. I was not with them whenever they did this particular meet and greet, but they had a lady out there that her job was running cadaver dogs for local law enforcement. And the dog hit on the tree that Kumbo had pointed out that the girl was found in.
Wow.
The dog hit on the tree 20 some years later. And turns out that cadaver dogs can do that.
Wow.
And we were looking at, well, they were looking at everything. I've looked into it too. So whenever I say we, but I was not there with them. But there's a graveyard in LBL, probably, I don't know, maybe 100 yards away from this tree. And they were wondering about runoff and everything coming from the graveyard, but why did the dog pick that tree and not any of the other trees around it?
Right.
But the dog struck on that tree. And I will also tell you that at the same time that this was happening, that they were out there looking at the site of the supposed beast of LBL, the family murder site. One of my personal friends was holding a spirit box, and it was coming in telling him all kinds of crazy stuff. And you can actually see some of these people talking about it live on one of the old Sawdust Beast episodes. They were filming live while they were there at this spot, and Barry's holding the spirit box, and they get him to come on and tell. And the spirit box is messing with him, telling him something about the way that his cousin died. And it's just, the whole thing is bizarre. It's crazy. I don't know the answers to it. I know this. The beast of LBL probably did actually happen the way that Kumbo describes it. And Kumbo is the progenitor of where that comes from. And there are so many.
Know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's so many stories out there about it now, and they are changing all of these details. I've heard people come out now and say, hey, I was a kid and I was there with that family, and I shot it with a 20 gauge shotgun or whatever while I was laying underneath the family Jeep.
It was the person that Roger was talking about, who was also named Roger. That was kind of like the red herring in this whole story.
Yeah.
And I can't remember all the details, but made it very, like, he almost added a level of discredibility to the whole thing because of how much he inserted himself into it, I think.
If you want to talk about, well, yeah, that happens with people, though. I mean, if you look at the cryptid field, there's always people that are jumping out there and making the whole thing about them.
Well,
yes.
If you look at, we had a couple on, their name is Joe and Pat, and Bud was there with them. There was other people there with them, but we have thermal footage of what really creditably looks like Dogman.
Wow.
At LBL, and that's on our channel. That was just a couple months ago. And
wasn't that long back?
Do what?
Oh, I gotta.
It wasn't very long back.
Yeah.
When y'all had them.
I gotta pop up the. He said this while we were talking. And they caught my eye when we were talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a good time just to let
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Right,
crazy. It's been a long time since we've talked to these people, but we talked to two folks that wrote a bunch of books on like the whole thing with Mothman in Point Pleasant.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that while they went to Point Pleasant for their first time, they lost all of this time and had no idea how these things happen. And I'm just like, I've been to Point Pleasant a bunch. And you know what's never happened? I've never been like, where did those 6 hours go?
Yeah.
I'm just very suspicious of people who are like, yeah, we went there once and we lost 8 hours of time and had no idea. We ended up in a field next to the CIA.
Well, I mean, if you go out to the bunkers and stuff, it gets creepy, But
it does get creepy, but what I'm saying is like their story was just like we went there for our first time and we lost 8 hours and we ended up next to the ex-CIA bunkers or whatever.
I'm not saying it's improbable that happens that way. Yeah. But at the same time, you have to admit, like whenever the stuff was actually happening in Point Pleasant, Those people were the first ones talking about it, and no one believed them. It's no different than a guy driving down a section of, West Virginia at night and saying, "Hey, I saw a booger run across the road 100 yards in front of me." And
I'm not trying to play resident skeptic. I'm just saying, like, they wrote the book and then went. It would have been different if that was the subject material of the book. I just
and throwing in the CIA does not help.
It really doesn't.
We in Weird Realities, there's an author that writes zombie books, and every time we have him on a show, the show will start glitching out. Like, people will just start going dark.
It seems like it happens more when me and him both are on a show together. It's nuts.
He retired from the CIA.
Yeah.
And every time he's on the show, it just starts bugging out.
Hey, man, look, we've had so much weird stuff happen with us, technically on our show. I mean, where stuff just goes haywire. We're all fine, but it'll be none of the controls work on the side of StreamYard, or the internet starts going crazy on all of our stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? I'm not at the point where I want to say, "Oh, I'm a victim of government, trying to shut me up because we're telling the truth." But
we haven't even gotten to that because we go kind of hardcore on conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
We do a lot of conspiracy, non-cryptid conspiracy stuff that gets us in a lot of trouble on, various social medias. But there's a level of the conspiracy that plays into cryptids that maybe we haven't even talked about yet, and it goes back to what we were saying with just the education system. There's a grip on the education system and what's able to be taught, and just like with Graham Hancock and the Archaeological Society, that whole big battle, you're gonna have that in almost every aspect of what we've been taught, because if you start to doubt their credibility, then the whole construct cracks.
If people start questioning government power structures, the things that are meant to keep us in line, there's going to be repercussions. There's going to be ways that they go about trying to get back control. I mean, if you know anything about for example, Project Bluebeam, y'all know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay, there's only one reason you create a project like that, and that is to be able to rein in people and sway them one way or the other. You look at presidential assassinations and assassination attempts. Mm-hmm. Was that dark parts of the government that were behind it, or was it that one guy? You look at Trump. Was it that one little dude that crawled up on that building 100 yards away from the stage and nobody saw him?
If he would have tried to create a new currency, it probably wouldn't have been a failed attempt.
If you look at the UAP thing, what was it, 2 years ago, where they testified in front of Congress, where you've got actual naval commanders saying we've seen this stuff firsthand, and then you have these other people coming out of the woodwork saying, "Hey, I work for the government, Lou Elizondo, I work for the government, and we have personally been monitoring and tracking these things and trying to figure out what they are." You got David Grush coming out saying, the government is responsible for retrieving some of these crash things. And you don't hear about that on the news.
And nobody cares. It's like during COVID, the government comes out and is like, okay, there's non-human biologics living in the ocean. And everybody's like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
You've got us wearing masks and standing 8 feet away from each other. It's all control.
Oh yeah, it really is. And now we got a mothership headed toward Earth in November. So
in November, well, you know what? We should have a watch party for that and have How many people can we have on a show?
I
I
don't-
wonder what StreamYard's limits are. We should have like a consortium of all the conspiracy people.
I don't think it's a mothership. I think people are making too much out of it. But that's just me.
Well, that dude that's saying that, he's a physicist from Harvard, and he has deep ties with Israeli intelligence.
Okay.
So,
So did Jeffrey Epstein.
exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, that's why I'm saying we should invite all of our conspiracy people that we've ever had on. Like we just talked to a New York police detective last week. Was it last week? Yeah.
Yeah.
And she actually retired from the New York police detective during COVID because she was having she was speaking to like 10,000 people in New York, being like, something ain't adding up with all this. Like something ain't adding up with all this.
Well,
She had to get out.
The stuff with the drones or the UAPs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, over New Jersey, right there before the election. We've not heard like a definitive answer on that.
Chinese balloons.
I thought they ended up being the mothership.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was the Iranian mothership.
Yeah, the Iranian up there.
Roger said, "I'm going to get y'all yellow flagged."
Oh, we talk about this regularly because around that same time, Steven shot drones.
Yeah.
And I shot something in the sky. It was an orb. And we played it on the show.
And by shot, he means with cameras, not they got out there with their guns and
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you cleared that up because I thought he meant shot him.
This is what Tully got a picture of during that time. This is the longer view of it right here.
So basically,
that's definitely not dust.
It's in the backyard. I thought it was the moon, and I'm like, well, that's too small to be the moon, or too big to be the North Star. So I just started filming. This is at 2 a.m. I'm letting my dogs out before bed, and I'm like, what is that? Because it didn't have a speed of like a plane or anything like that. And, it could be a Fugazi, maybe, but it's very strange to watch.
How did it move?
Steady. It was steady, but then, well, I don't know. Cecil, do you got the video?
I don't have the video anymore, but Tully's got one of them fancy Samsung phones, so his camera is really good.
It was too slow to be a plane. So I live very close to a small airport, and I live close to a big airport. Yes. And there's planes that come through all the time, and you see it constantly. And this was something that looked more like a star than a plane. So I take the video. And I'm like, I got to go to bed. I don't have time for this. So I go to bed, and about 2 weeks later, I'm outside. I'm letting the dogs out again, and that's my regular bedtime, around 1:32, and letting the dogs out, and the dogs are coming back in, and from the woods, I hear it. Literally, the best way I can describe it is it sounds like my wife in the woods, and I hear our dog's name, and it goes, she calls our dog a certain way, and she always goes, Remy, and it's high pitched like that.
Yeah, it's real annoying.
And I shit you not, from the woods that night, I hear Remy, and I look back, and our dog Remy, he's as big as a Great Dane and looks like a wolf. He's a big old dog. He jerks his head back toward the woods, and I said, "Get in the fucking house right now." And I'm like, I don't have time for this. It's bedtime.
Do you know how many stories there are of boogers? Well, supposedly boogers. People think they're boogers. Calling animals and vocalizing. Oh man, that's a common thing. And I will say this: boogers and orbs and boogers and UFOs are extremely interconnected. Now, whatever that picture was, though, did it change size? Did it change color at all?
I wish Cecil still had the video. I don't
I
know.
was bored. I don't have it.
That's. I don't know.
But yes, it did. It didn't make any 90-degree turns though. But what ended up happening, it goes behind a tree line and you just can't see it anymore.
Was it giving off light on the outside?
Yes. That's why I thought it was like the moon or a star, because it was like
this is how it will look. This is like his little fence right here. There's a pond here, and so I said it was swamp gas, but no, I'm joking. but it's right up there. Yeah.
Hey, William,
how long have you lived in that area?
10 years, and that's the only thing I've ever seen like that.
Do you have a history in that area of in the late winter, especially like
that's when it was. That's about when it was.
Do you have a history of pets and animals going missing in that area?
People do get dogs and stuff that go missing, but what the curiosity? So there's this set of books from the 70s. Cecil actually has the Kentucky one, and I can't remember what that book's called, Cecil, but this guy basically created an almanac of all of the ghost towns and buried treasures and stuff in every state. And I forget what it's based on, Cecil. It's been so long since we've talked about this, but
the next show.
In the woods back there, in these books, there is a documented ghost town as well. And I have a buddy who hunts maybe like 2 miles back in the woods. There's a lease that he has. And he has said that when he goes hunting, that he also sees remnants of what would have been a town. So old stone walls and just random aluminum, like old cars out in the middle of the forest.
What state are you in?
Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Northern Kentucky, though, like the furthest north before you get to Cincinnati.
Okay. Yeah, but still, so you've got ley lines. You probably have cavern systems.
There's also it's native land. It's known native land. There's been one other weird thing in the 10 years, and I wasn't the only witness to this one.
Yeah,
everybody
talks about it still to this day.
There was like 4 of us at the time, and in the same woods line that all this is happening, we're catfishing, because like Cecil said, there's a pond back there. It's probably midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. We've got 5 poles out. We're catfishing, drinking beer, and we're all just laughing, having a good time. And we hear a rustle, and out of the woods, I feel stupid even saying this. It was either an albino deer. I'll give you 2 options. Either it was an albino deer that was so white that it looked like it was glowing, or there was a glowing deer that walked out of the woods.
It was a Patronus.
And so it walks out of the woods, and it walks on the other side of the pond. And at first, it's trotting like a deer would. And mid-gait, it changes and starts moving like a cat.
Yeah.
And
but did it turn into a cat?
It was running so fast. So it's trotting like a deer, and then the gait changes. Imagine like a cat running full speed, and darts back into the woods, and everybody saw it. And I'm like, that is insane. Like,
how close are you to a Indian burial mound?
Probably
no idea.
Right there.
There's probably one back there. Yeah.
They're scattered everywhere up there. Like the particular area where he lives in Hamilton, Ohio, and places like that.
Yep.
And they're just literally everywhere.
Well, and there's a cryptid around here and into northern Tennessee called the knot deer too.
Yeah. Never
Deers. Yeah. If you look into it, everybody calls it the knot deer, and it's deer that act very peculiar. Like, people report them like fitting through spaces that a deer couldn't possibly fit through, like a crack in a
really
mountain.
long necks. Really long necks.
They look like normal deer, until you look at them for a minute, and then you're like, something's off. It's like uncanny valley almost. And I can't say that that's what it was, but we all saw it, and I'm just like, what? I don't even know. Like at this point, with all the stuff going on back there, I'm just like, I don't have time for this. I gotta go. I gotta go.
I believe him on that white one, because the other two people that were there are not people that believe in anything.
No, one's a concrete. He's a concrete worker that is no BS when it comes to any of this stuff.
So Sissel doesn't believe you on all the other shit, but he believes you on the white deer.
Yeah, the deer running like a cat. Yeah, he believes that one, but not the lots. Not the lots or the.
I believe the lots. I believe in all of it. I've never had any personal experience, but I think that I might be one of the people, because like we were talking about earlier, like we only see 20%. I think I might only see like 10.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
I started out like that, and we have the constant discussion of: is it the area? Is it the person? Is it a combination of things? Yeah, I truly believe that some people are more sensitive.
Yeah,
they're more gifted. But then again, at the same time, I think, I mean, based off my own experience, that this stuff, it occupies our world. It comes into our world and interacts in our world. So it's not that you have to be a certain way. We have the ain't deer.
That ain't deer.
Not deer, ain't deer.
Yeah, you have the white booger in Alabama, also the white thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't think it's necessarily what you're made of. I think it's more the right place and the right time. I do think the more sensitive people, they can pick up on the stuff, and they see more, and they're privy to more of the stuff that happens. But I think anybody can experience it. I'll tell you right now, I can take you to certain parts of Daniel Boone or LBL at certain times of the year. Go with me, and I'll do some stuff, and we'll see what happens. But 9 out of 10 times, you're gonna be like, "What the hell was that?"
We're taking a family trip to LBL.
I'm actually in southeastern Kentucky, and like when I step out my front yard, I look over a valley, and on the other side of the valley is Daniel Boone National Forest.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, before I started podcasting and talking to people that have these experiences, I've never had any, but I've always believed. I'm like, I just wish I could see it. But ever since then, strange things have happened. Like one day we was out here in the back, and I was letting the dogs out, and like I just heard a god awful scream. Like it sounded like a woman, but it sounded like guttural too, you know. And it scared the dogs. I still don't know what that was. I thought it might have been my wife, but she was asleep.
Right.
So I don't know what that was. I seen a ghost. Well, I think was a ghost coming into our road because there's a graveyard.
I'll tell you one thing that made a big difference for me, and I said this earlier in the show, but this is got to get hit by lightning. That's a true thing. That's a truth. No, he's not joking. We've talked to a lot of people, and for whatever reason, a lot of people that have been hit by lightning, I don't know what it does to them, but I think it makes them more open to this. But one of the things that makes a big difference is going with people that actually know what they're talking about. And I was very lucky in that. I mean, no bones about it. It's not me, because I'm stupid on all this kind of stuff. I just been there whenever shit has happened. But going with the right people that can actually say, hey, at this time, we're going to go to this place and we're going to do this, and then we might get something. You greatly increase your chances. And then whenever that happens, though, the first time that it does happen, then you open your eyes and you open your mind, because you're like, okay, I know what happened that time. And then you're more aware, and you're more open and looking for it. And it makes a difference.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. And like, there's a couple photos that Steven sent me that anytime anybody asks me why I believe in stuff, I'm like, well, this is the reason right here. I know this guy personally, and I know he's not full of shit. This one right here, now it's blurrier now because I've copied and pasted so much. But this right here is one that trips me out because I mean, you can obviously see right here. You can see that, and you can literally see a snout, and you can see the eyes right here. And but the thing that always threw me off was the arms, because right here you can see the arms, and they're like little spindly arms.
Right.
Steven says it's a dog man. I believe it, but I think it could also be like a skinwalker or something.
It could be.
Well, I mean,
it left bipedal tracks. I've got a picture of the track. So,
yeah.
I've seen pictures. I've seen pictures that I don't possess, that I don't own. But again, all of the people that I know and everything, I've seen pictures of Dogman that I've tried every which way to look them up. We all were. It wasn't just me. I mean, we were all looking them up, trying to compare them to movies and TV shows and other stuff. And all I can tell you is it wasn't a movie or a TV show. And there ain't no way that a guy in the middle of Ohio captured pictures like that he faked, because it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to duplicate that. And then I've seen other pictures from other people in different parts of the state that were just as clear and looked like the same kind of creature. I mean, I'm talking about stuff like scars on the arm, like distinct 3 scratches on the arm. And there's not a movie or a TV show that showed it, anything like that. That's like saying that somebody actually faked the Patty film. You know, way back then, they had no way to create a costume like that. I mean, nowadays we got AI that we have to deal with, but
It's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, AI is crazy. But these pictures that I showed of Tully are 100% real. He is a man. This is another one that kind of threw me too, because I was always really entertained by the Black Eyed Kids. And Steven sent this that he snapped in the woods, and I swear to Jesus, that looks like a Black Eyed Kid to me right there.
I still get the creeps every time I think about that day.
Yeah, that's weird.
I found a really small tree bow right beside a gravel road, Spencer. Then I could see another dead tree that looked like it was suspended out, I don't know, that 40 yards out in the woods. And I was fixing to walk out there to it. And there was just a ditch, a little small ditch that you could step over. And when I made it to that edge of the ditch, I couldn't take another step. I was done. So I took pictures, and I just got back in the truck and I left. And it wasn't at home that I found this in that picture. I went back the next day. I took another picture. The tree that was horizontal, laying across the other trees out there in the woods, I didn't realize it at the time, but when I got to comparing the pictures, that dead tree was gone.
Really?
So on Monday, I went back there with me, and I took somebody else with me. I was like, hey, come on over here and let's go look at this. I love that one. And there was no evidence that anybody had taken a tractor in there. Nobody had cut it up. There would have been chips, from it being cut up with a chainsaw or something. It was gone. But yeah, if I could find those 3 or 4 pictures that I took and pointed all out to you. But yeah, that was on that right there. I don't know how many miles we're 3 or 4 miles from the closest town, small rural town here in Arkansas. And there's not a road back there for half a mile or more, probably 3/4 of a mile. There's nothing back there behind that except for the creek that goes through there. So I don't, but I still get chills every time every time I think about that, because that was one of those times, and I'm sure you've experienced it, and you've talked to other people who've experienced it, where you're going through the woods, whether you be squirrel hunting or whatever. It's kind of like you just hit this invisible wall, and you can't take another.
Feels.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever you get the, as Kumbo says, you get the chili bumps.
Yeah,
yeah. That's I don't know. I've had some of that.
And all of the stories of the little people, or
Oh yeah,
the black-eyed kid. I tend to think that they're like little people, but I mean that goes back to like native tradition from hundreds of years ago. They're considered more dangerous and mischievous and cannibalistic and all that kind of stuff than
they're immigrants.
Like boogers are. So
I think they're immigrants. I think the Scottish brought them over.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's where I think they're from.
Yeah, they brought them over.
Yeah,
on a boat.
Like if you're talking about spiritually or like spiritual attachments, there are a lot of like black-eyed kid stories from Scotland that we've talked about from not just hundreds but close to 1,000 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
but black-eyed kids is slightly different than the little people or the black-eyed things out in the woods. The black-eyed kids is a common thing where it's like they thought the children were possessed or demonic or something like that. There is a whole separate thing for the little people or the black-eyed little kids that are out there in the woods running around wild.
Yeah, I mean that's
feral.
Like if you really think about it, and you think about the timeline that we know it as, there's some people that believe the timeline isn't millions of years, but there is evidence of all the continents being together at once, and the Appalachian Mountains were actually part of the Scottish Highlands at one point in time.
That's a good point.
So if you go by like the thought that maybe it didn't happen over millions of years, but a couple 100,000, then it's possible that these things
are
could
cousins.
Well, I mean, there's if you look at Bigfoot, which Bigfoot is a good baseline.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it's been studied for so long, and there are so many tales about it in almost every country around the world. I mean, you have the Yarwin in China, you have the Amnesty in Russia, you have people talking about Yowie in Australia, and going to what you said about like all of the continents being together, which whenever I was in school they called it Pangea before it broke up. But yeah, there is a good argument for that. There is a good argument even if all of the continents were not together. We know for a fact that the what was it called? The Bering something?
Bering Strait.
Bering Strait, yeah. Where we were connected to the greater Indochina Russia section at one point, and we broke away. My point would be that a lot of these things here, let me say this. There is more reason to believe that what we consider UAPs, UFOs, because now we know that we see them all the time coming from the water and going under the water. There is more reason to believe that they have been here the whole time instead of them coming in from outer space. Yes. They've been here the whole time. A lot of these cryptid things, it's very possible that they've been around since the dawn of time. And then we came along and we became and have you ever seen the thing? Kumbo talks about this too. I get it from him, but have you ever seen the book on Neanderthals called Us and Them? Where it describes, where it goes back and shows.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, where it goes back and shows what they think Neanderthals actually looked like back in the day. And that's
not us, right? Like that's what I think I know what you're talking about, where it's like we did not evolve from that.
Yeah. Well, whenever you and I were in school, the theory of evolution was that one Homo sapiens species developed into others and others and finally came to.
Yes.
Nowadays, we know that there were multiple Homeo type species developing at the same time. Who says that we all developed to the point where we are now? We still have gorillas in zoos. What if we came from a monkey back in the day, like whenever I was in school? Why are there still monkeys? This stuff has been around longer than we have, in my opinion. And it's just that we're just now getting technologically communicating via the internet and everything, like what we're doing right now. We're just now getting to a point where we're all putting our heads together, and the subject has become destigmatized to a point where we're talking about it openly as a group. And we're all comparing notes, and everybody from around the world is jumping in here and saying, oh, I got the same thing, but in my area, it does this. Oh, in my area, it does this. But we're all talking about variations of the same things.
We taught rocks how to think and then enslaved ourselves with it.
I just confirmed that I need to vacuum too, because I was petting my dog, and that's what came off.
that looked like a Squatch.
Yeah. I have 2 labs and a Jack Russell, so any corner of my room looks like that.
Right.
He sheds like crazy. But I mean, that makes sense. All that does. And like the whole, I can't even how many species are we up to now of homeos of some kind like that?
There's a bunch.
I think count was like 26. I think there was. So it's I'm telling what there
There's
was out there.
But I think the difference is, like, you can keep a gorilla contained in a cage, but a being like this with certain properties would probably be extremely hard to contain in a 4-wall zoo. And I know Steven's talked about this in the past, but I think a lot of these things are tagged, and if one of them falls, people's going to be on top of it quick.
Well, do you go into that area where it's like, oh, this thing has such physical capabilities, it would be hard to keep it contained? Or do you go into the area of it has special abilities and attributes that allow it to get out?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it would just disappear out of the.
See,
when
go ahead, Steve.
I just want to go ahead and add this right here from what some of the hair sample. I know MK Davis discovered this before, and you may have seen the video with some of the hair samples that have been found. Some of the hair samples, it may be black or gray or brown, whatever, but part of the hair, would be just completely clear. And what that would do, it would allow light to enter into one spot and leave from another spot. So that right there could also help with the.
Hold on.
Yeah.
If it's leaving hair, doesn't that point towards it being a physical thing?
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
At the same time,
hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Have you had batteries drained?
Yeah. I have. At an ink arc, batteries drained. That started working 10 minutes later.
Do we go out and we're like, oh my God, there's a porcupine, let me take a picture. Oh wait, shit, it drained my batteries. No, we do not.
Yeah. Well, I was taking a video of some tree bows in Falk one night, and I could not take a video. My phone would not record a video. Why? I don't know.
But I'm looking right now, and they said we're up to 21 different species so far. They say around 21 different species of humankind.
Yeah.
Australopithecus,
Stoven, Neanderthal, is a bunch of them.
That's so long.
How often do they find new ones? It's like every other year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How many are they not telling us about?
you know what?
that's
Right
fun.
there, it's a, you know, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know, according to, I guess, science, you know, all the dogs are actually related to the wolf, but it's just like with the Yorkies that I have. I mean, you could never breed back and create a wolf from Yorkies because too much information has been lost
They'll just be little.
over time. Yeah. But I mean, Jack looks like a wolf sometimes when we let his hair grow out.
I don't know. I don't know if the whole narrative of like all of our dog breeds coming from wolves, I get that they test positive for like some similar DNA, but I don't know if I can confidently say that even with today's technology and like CRISPR and DNA editing and everything, I don't know if you could take a wolf and make a Dachshund from that wolf.
You have to take the ones that have impurities and breed them. Like,
I still don't think you could get to a Dachshund.
Think about this. They talk about, like with dogs, right? They talk about domesticated dogs all come from ancestrally some type of wolf. You know, like let's say a gray wolf, right? Timber wolf.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. According to science, how many years has man been on the earth?
200,000 or 300,000, I think. I can't remember.
Well, that's biblical. Well, it depends on what you mean by man. Like some semblance of man, millions and millions of years.
They're saying 6 million years now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the oldest evidence, you know, people find, you know,
biblically only a couple 100,000, but
yes,
scientifically
they say modern humans 300,000 years.
I was getting ready to say I thought it was more like 200,000 years, but anyway, here's my point. If you had wolves back then, right? If man domesticated wolves and then we started keeping them as pets, and then they changed according to their situation, their environment, and you know, throughout the years they developed longer hair, shorter hair, got smaller, got bigger. Okay, we've gotten to a point where man has evolved to where we are now. Now we have all these breeds of wolves that have turned into the multi breeds of dogs. We still have wolves.
Mm-hmm.
We still have gray wolves. We still have timber wolves. How does that shit work? How does that work? Where
that's why I'm so skeptical of it. We have technology that is terrifying. Like you can go get your cat clone for 20 grand. So and while you're doing that, you can also edit out the things that killed your last cat. So if you don't want it to have certain cancer markers, you could do that. So if we have that ability to literally edit genes and traits in animals, and we can't take a Dachshund and make it a wolf, I don't know that I believe that Dachshunds came from wolves.
Yeah.
Like I just struggle with that personally. I do.
If somebody that's a great clip for this show right there. If you guys just take a 10-second, if you wanted to do a short and you're like, and I struggle with that, and I'm not sure that I believe Dachshunds came from.
Totally.
So here's the thing. Okay, right now there are roughly 360 distinct dog breeds around the world.
Yeah.
There are not 360 distinct humanoids around the world.
Yes. That's
what
I'm saying.
You can literally break down humanoids into 3 major races.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Negroid,
Don't
Caucasoid, and Mongoloid. Those are the literal words. But then you have offshoots, you know, but I mean, you have a handful.
I'm a Melungeon. I seen
That's
somebody.
right. You're try.
Yeah, I seen somebody post that in the comments. I was like, hey, I'm one of those.
But I mean, if humans, like say, have evolved from one little group, just like supposedly dogs all came from these couple of little wolves, there should be a distinct amount of human races.
Misty, it's been a while, but we actually did a whole episode on the Melungeon race.
Yeah, I'm literally a Melungeon too. That's where my family's from, is right down in there, and all my family looks like Melungeons.
Yep.
Hey, don't humor her. Don't answer her questions. Don't speak to her. She'll just keep going.
Is that why the
Spencer
nickname
on this right
is
here.
Squirrel?
Yeah, squirrel.
Because she'll go down a rabbit hole so far you'll wish you had not followed her.
Yeah.
Hey,
I do have to agree. I do have to agree with her on something. You know, she's talking about, you know, this right here. So much of this right here seems like it's just one big rabbit hole. I mean, whenever you look at it,
yeah.
I mean, you started out just pure flesh and blood. That's how a lot of people start out. And whenever you get out there, you go to experiencing some different things that don't make sense. And then you may see something that doesn't make sense. And it just, I don't know, you end up with more questions than answers at the end of the day, or that's what I've done for the most part.
The problem, in my opinion, the problem is as soon as you open the door to the paranormal, the woo side, it's very easy for you to stop thinking. It's very easy for you to not like really think about it and use intelligence and try to break it down and common sense stuff, because you can just attribute anything that happens to, well, you know, it's supernatural. It's woo. It can just do anything. And I think you have to be very careful with that. And I think that when you hit that point, and if you do this subject for long enough, you're going to hit that point where something weird and freaky and unexplainable happens. I think you have to double down on your skepticism of what you're looking at and what other people are looking at and what they're trying to tell you. And you have to not be persuadable on a lot of this stuff. You have to weigh it even harder whenever you start throwing in all of this other stuff. And it's not for the sake of yourself. It's for the sake of anybody else that you might influence on the subject, because you can think whatever way you want to think about it. But if you're impacting other people, you have to be careful with what you say and with what you put out there, you know, as far as credibility for everybody else, not for yourself, but for everybody else.
Yeah.
That's a great point, honestly.
Yeah.
And another great point is it's past my bedtime now.
I was looking at the clock intently right then. I was getting ready to message totally like, hey, wrap this shit up.
This has been awesome, Spencer.
Dude, if you knew how many times I tried to say that to my other people that are in here right now, I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah. This has been amazing. No, we'll have to do this again. We didn't nearly get to get into as many things as I wanted to. I wanted to talk to you about knife making and everything else. We'll have to do it again. This has been great. And the chat's been awesome with all your folks that have came over.
Oh yeah,
this has been great.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me on. We're gonna have a show tomorrow, so I'll throw you guys tag out there. I'll have to get it loaded into the thing, but we'll get you out there and everything. Thank you for having me on.
It's been awesome.
I like having conversations like this where we can just talk like normal people. I've been on shows where it's like they're telling me beforehand it's all scripted and like don't say this.
No.
Don't say that.
We don't do that kind of thing. It's just all raw.
That's why we go off down into left field half the time.
When we first started, we had like a list of questions, and then like by the third guess, I was like, we never ask any of these fucking questions. So we just started with it.
Yes, but CERN is one of our favorite topics to bring up.
Oh, Spencer, plug everything that you want to.
Yes.
Yeah. We will definitely, like I said, we have a small show, but hey, they're very loyal, and we interact with our chat big time, and like we know a majority of the people that are in our chat. They push our stuff out there like it's crazy. Our chat does so much for us. The people that watch our show, I could not be more proud or more thankful for having them for like our group.
Listen, I don't know if Landa's still listening, but this ain't good news. Like our regulars are gonna have to step it up.
What's the name of the show for everybody?
It's Woodwalkers with a Z, which you can't see right there, but Woodwalkers, and it's on Sundays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time normally, and then we have another channel, Night Owls with a Z at the end of it, and that's mostly Misty and Greg. They do that channel. They run that channel. But anyway, and maybe at some point we can get you guys on our show. And,
that'd be awesome.
Sure.
Yeah. Pay you back the thing. Thank you, Steve, for inviting me.
Spencer, I appreciate it. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, man.
It's been amazing
since you agreed to it.
I don't like to talk about myself, but
everybody's about to see a commercial for this honey.
Or RBs, the number 4, the letter R, bees.com.
So the honey, their whole thing is they're using rare earth magnets he's putting them in the pattern of the flower of life. They're using them in the beehives, and it's producing a honey with like it's testing for 0 glyphosates. Even if you don't believe in the woo of like the magnets and all of that and the flower of life, etc., the honey itself tests 0 glyphosates, and it's raw. It's never been heated. It's excellent honey. You don't ever want to heat it. This is honey you get just to take a bite of if you're, feeling the sickness coming on or something. And honestly, we've only been doing this for a little bit, and my wife had a fever blister coming on, and she put a little bit of that honey on there and let it dry, and it went away.
Wow.
So that's the first personal testimony with the honey. I've been sick. You said what?
So it cures herpes. I need to.
No.
Hey, Steven, I'm putting $5 on Rachel next time they go visit.
Oh
yeah.
Whatever she.
Yeah, we can't make any medical claims on the honey. But yeah, you're about to see a commercial for it. You know what? It's good honey. It's unlike any honey you've ever tasted. Never been heated. It's from local, not local. Well, I mean, they're all over America, so it's local to somebody. But they put a lot of work and effort into making sure there's no chemicals and other stuff in the honey.
It's just delicious. It's good stuff. So go check them out. We'll go watch Woodwalkers tomorrow. What time was it? 2:30 p.m.
2:30. Yep, Eastern.
And where all do you stream? YouTube and everywhere like
YouTube. We don't care.
All right. And you can check in with us next Friday at 7 p.m. where we cover strange news, and then right after that at 8 p.m. will be Weird Awakenings on the Weird Realities Network. And we'll go ahead and wrap this up so we can all get some sleep. Thank you for watching us, because we are watching you.
The bees are dying, and our survival hangs in the balance. In the past year, over 70% of U.S. bee colonies, more than 1.1 million hives, were lost, marking the worst collapse on record. At 4RBs, we're fighting back with our breakthrough PureWave cell, a quantum frequency device crafted with 48,000 Gauss rare earth magnets in the shape of the flower of life. When placed inside a beehive, it delivers remarkable results. Colonies grow 2 to 3 times larger, honey production soars, pesticide and antibiotic use drops to 0, colony collapse nearly vanishes, and queen replacements plummet. Every purchase also supports our beekeeper program, providing free PureWave cells to small beekeepers worldwide. Rebuilding life one hive at a time. Join the fight today and buy a jar of PureWave honey, or or even one of the cells used by the beekeepers, use code WITF for 20% off at 4rbs.com. And if you're listening on audio only, that's the number 4, letter R, bees.com.